Hello, welcome to Arcadia. I'm the first Arcadian and this is Arcadia Unboxed, a little series of videos where I unbox miniatures that I would be opening anyway, but this way I get to share the experience. So if it is your first time around here, this is basically a hangout. It's an excuse for me to open miniatures. I collect D&D minis for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And at the same time, I normally talk about the monsters that I get in each specific box, some strategies to use them, or some interesting ways, mostly lore about them and interesting things about whatever we get. Again, today we'll be unboxing Fangs and Talons from WizKids, Icons of the Realms, the official D&D miniature line. As I've been saying in the previous videos that we have been opening these boxes, this is a collection of miniatures mostly composed of monsters and enemies, which is one of my favorite types of collection. And we have got some pretty interesting things so far. I'm not going to spoil them for you in case you want to see them, but it's an expansion with a lot of cool minis. So hopefully we'll get something good today too. First miniature. As always, I start opening the small ones. It seems like a humanoid kind of character. Is it a Kinku? No, it's a Kobold. Nice. I love Kobold. You can never have too many Kobolds because, well, first they attack in packs. I mean, one of their tactics is literally pack tactics. But not only we get a Kobold, we get, is this a Kobold Inventor? Yes, it is. One of my favorite types of kobold as well. Basically, kobolds are, as you probably know, these little dragonoids that worship chromatic dragons. They are evil, but they are so, well, weak and clumsy that they are more of a comic relief than a serious threat, I'd say. It's also one of my favorite types of monsters to use in low-level play. But this is a Kobold Inventor. I believe it is a challenge rating 1 or 2 monster, and it is a kobold that instead, like normal kobolds attacking with slings and rocks and bites, these kobolds, they invent their own weapons, like poles with centipedes or scorpions tied to the end. I actually have the Volo's Guide to Monsters book right here. It is not one of the D&D core books. It's an optional rule expansion, you could say. But it has some very interesting things. It's one of my favorite books in D&D, more than the Dungeon Master Guide, for example. And it has some interesting things on the kobolds. Let me just look for the Kobold Inventor. Here it is. As you can see, it's the one on the left. And the attacks, the possible weapons that these kobolds have include a flask of acid, a flask of alchemist's fire, a basket of centipedes. That's probably what this little thing that our kobold is holding, this vase on the right hand, is. And a green slime pot. There's also a rot grub pot. Oh, this is what our kobold is holding. It's a rot grub pot. There. There's also scorpions on the stick, which is the kind of weapon that you see the kobold in the book holding. And there's also skunk in a cage. I like how the names are very evocative. And finally, wasp nest in a bag. I mean, this is just delightful. Actually, I've been seeing right now, this kobold is only 1/4 in challenge rating, so it's not that strong, but a really great character. If I were to use this kobold in a game, I would probably use it as an NPC because it's just too cute. Let's get to the second mini before I fanboy too much about kobolds. Oh, this is a bigger one. It has a big tail. Oh, this is a cool one. Sorry. One other funny thing about watching these videos is that you get to see me react like a kid in a toy store. This is an ambush drake, isn't it? Yes. Oh, I wish I had some of these when I was playing the Tyranny of Dragons campaign. Well, basically, I'm not sure if you are familiar with the guard drake, those 4-legged dragonoid reptiles that really look like 4-legged blue dragons without wings. Supposedly created by wizards, they are an artificial creation, and they are mentioned a lot in Hoard of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat, the official campaigns from Wizards of the Coast. Because they are one of the weapons of choice of the Cult of the Dragon cultists and some kobolds around there too. And in the early stages of the game, there's a lot of ambush drakes being used around, which is this little guy. It's like a green dragon version of the guard drake, and it's slightly weaker, but it's more stealthy. It's more appropriate for reconnaissance or scouting missions or ambushes. It is called the ambush drake. Not very strong. I would like to have more of these because these are more made to be used in packs, but still, yeah, I got an ambush drake. This is pretty great. I always wondered why there weren't any more ambush drakes in the official miniatures. I mean, they were referred in the very first legitimate official campaign for D&D 5e, and they were never part of any collection by WizKids until now. Great. I'm happy with this. So far, we have a very Tyranny of Dragons themed campaign, so a miniature box, I mean. Third miniature. Isn't there a small one? Oh, yes, I love these monsters. Look at how grotesquely cute it is. Yeah, this is a Boggle or a Boggle. No, it's a Boggle. So if I remember correctly, these are fake creatures. I used them once, and they are basically pranksters. They're mischievous little bastards that live in the Feywild. They cause pranks, or at least the one that I used was a big prankster. And they have one funny peculiarity, which is anything that's like a natural arch or loop, for example, the tunnel the roots of a tree make by rising out of the earth and then back into the earth again, or maybe a frame in a little cave. They have this little power that allows them to magically transform that opening into a portal and basically do the equivalent of Misty Step, but that's their innate power. So I actually have a cool thing to say about these monsters, a cool idea that you may want to use in your D&D campaigns. I have a project that is not particularly in the finishing line, which is to basically create a list of everything that can be harvested from monsters and what magic items they can be used to manufacture, and the actual blueprints of those magic items that the DMG and the Player's Handbook mention, but by any reason they are never actually materialized in any form in the official books. So I was building a list of magic item blueprints, and the bones of a Boggle were actually the main components of making pocket dimensional items, or dimensional sheeting items, let's say. It's probably easier to give examples. Stuff like the bag of holding, or more importantly, the portable hole, right? The portable hole is basically something that allows you to traverse physical matter. Kind of the same way the Boggle just transforms one arch into a portal. I mean, in my way, the portable hole doesn't really create an actual hole in the structure. It acts like two portals very, very closely connected, which you can retrieve from the other side as well. So yeah, it made sense to me to use Boggle bones as the actual, you could say, the frame for such items. So there's a cool idea that you can use if you want to. Really love the Boggle. It's an amazing concept from Volo's Guide to Monsters, I believe. And the final miniature. Is a classic one, which I'm really glad to get, actually, because I never got one of these in this big. This is a water elemental, and actually it's so big that I need to show it to this camera here. Elementals are a classic creature in D&D. They are basically living, slightly conscious and slightly rational piles of elemental matter. There's the wind elemental, the fire elemental, the earth elemental, and the water one. Now, this is the major water elemental, the true one, because it is large. It is a large creature. It occupies a 2x2 area in the battlefield. This is the water elemental that they refer to in the monster manual. But there was already one water elemental in WizKids miniature lines, and I actually I actually have it. Let me get it for you. So this is the water elemental that I just got from the Fangs and Talons expansion, and this is the water elemental that I got previously from the Elemental Evil campaign, the Elemental Evil miniature collection from WizKids as well. And just one thing that I love about this elemental is just the size of it and the sheer, just the wavy form and nature of it. Like from the back, you might as well mistake it for just a mass of water until you got to see the face, which I'll assume is pretty goofy. They could have at least painted it like a deep blue and not this blackish stuff. I also miss these water effects. That is basically just a very thin dry brush on the edges of this shape, this watery shape, that could have benefited greatly this miniature as well. I actually like the color of this smaller elemental better, but nonetheless, I am happy that they finally made a big water elemental, a properly sized one, or at least the one that I got. And just as a means of comparison, let's take this out of the way. This is the water elemental that I got from the Fantasy Series 1 miniature collection by Blacklist Games. If you are curious about it, I have a whole video unboxing those miniatures and kind of giving you a first reaction. I'll link it up there in the eye or down below in the Underdark. But regardless, there was a collection of 4 elementals in that collection, and this is the water one. And when it comes to pose, this one, I think it's clearly superior. I mean, it still carries that watery feel. The flow, the position of this creature jumping out of the water is really, really cool, but you get a much more menacing look, even if you can't tell the face by the light that I have in this camera right now. It's slightly smaller, but in a way, it's I think the pose is cooler. Anyway, just a quick fun comparison. Now I have a whole family of elementals that I can torment my players with. That was a pretty cool box, actually. There were not like a lot of very high CR monsters, but I'm really, really happy. I might think that I think that the miniature that I like the least is actually the big one, the water elemental. I'm just so fond of the Kobold Inventor, the Ambush Drake, and the Boggle. Just 3 amazing miniatures, fairly detailed as well. The paint job, as usual, could be better, but they are very textured, and yeah, I really like each and every one of them. Even the Boggle, even the little eyes on the Boggle are pretty well detailed, so very happy with this box. Fangs and Talons so far has been one of my favorite miniature collection from WizKids until now, and I've been gathering their collections for like I think I purchased about 10 or 11 of the collection so far. Some were smaller than others, but still, this is one of my favorite ones so far. Really happy with them, and I have still one more box in my storage to open. So I will see you in the next video to open that one. Oh, also don't forget that there's a whole playlist of unboxing videos for you to watch if you like this kind of stuff. There's a lot of D&D videos for you, both for players and for DMs, playlists down below in the Underdark or up there in the eye. And as usual, if you like this kind of stuff and you'd like to support me, please like, subscribe, and share the video. Sharing is really important. That's all for me for now. Now, yes, I will see you in the next video.